Home is Where the Dark is supported by and produced at Stygian Sound, a music production suite specializing in producing, mixing, and mastering dark and heavy genres. Stygian Sound offers a collection of instruments and equipment that has been carefully curated and refined to offer you exceptional tools to capture your perfect performance. Have your raw multitracks mixed with distinctive taste. Have your mix fine-tuned with a world-class hybrid master. Visit alexcrescioni.com today for more details and to book your slot now. Thanks, Daddy. Welcome, Jake Hayden, to Home is Where the Dark is. Thank you so much for coming by, man. I appreciate you coming back and having a chat, and I'm looking forward to learning more about you. So how's it been going? You've just got off a bunch of shows, so tell us a little bit about that, like your experience with Dorothy and how it's been this year.
Rad. Thank you for having me. It didn't take long to get here.
Straight from the studio?
Straight from, man. Actually, wrestling with stuff as we do, prepping for a session. So, I just got back from New York. I love New York. Always fills me up every time I go there. I don't want to leave, you know. We played for this NFT company. It was this private event thing. Basically, it turned out to be kind of like a bar gig, which was kind of cool. Like old school, just like letting it go. And then we did the shoot for Vivo.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So you also played the Troubadour.
We did.
How was that? That looked killer. That looked sold out. Was that sold out?
Yes, it was sold out. Yes, it was sold out. And we had a special guest as well, which was quite a surprise. We got to play with Slash.
Saw that.
Yeah.
Rad, man.
Yeah, it was. It was. I kind of have to pinch myself a little bit, I think, still.
Is it just, is he friends with Dorothy, or how did that come to fruition?
So I'm just riffing on this here because, they just kind of tell me what's going to happen and then we roll. To my knowledge, there's a working relationship there between Dorothy and Slash. I think. We'll just have to see. But anyways, yeah, so they're friends, and he came to play on a song. Slash is okay, I just got to say this right now. That dude changed my whole view of being like a working side guy. Because, I'm like a plumber. You know what I mean? like if there's a leak, I fix it. Well, if someone needs a drummer, they can't do it themselves. They got to hire a guy like me. And so I just kind of fix a problem, I feel like, so I'm working for somebody else and doing their art. So I get a chance to, over my career, I met a lot of different kinds of people that employ me and people that, you want to work with, and you meet him and you're like, oh, wow, that's an interesting personality. Slash was the calmest, chillest dude. Blew my mind. If there was one person in LA gonna play the Troubadour, right, who could walk in and just be like, hey, so I'm in and out in 5 minutes, and just, really could be that dude. He was just like so cool, and his energy was so calm, and he was I just felt like I was with just a dude who's obviously not just a dude. You're like, that's, of all time, one of the legendary, changed my life. The first time I heard like the opening riff to like "It's So Easy" when I was a kid, I was like, that's raw. I didn't think that because I was a kid, but I was, it was like, that's a crazy, crazy riff, and it's like, oh, it's that guy.
Totally. It's always great to hear when, these musicians that we've looked up to, when you finally get to meet them, it's so great to know that a lot of them are just they take professional to a whole nother level. Like they're humble and they're kind and they show up on time and they truly care regardless of who they're working with. So it's always awesome to hear that.
Yeah, he likes to rock. Like, that sounds so cheesy to say, but seriously, like that's his deal. It's like, oh, well, yep, he's really like that. It's not a fake. He showed up, he had the glasses, he had his like backwards hat in his hair, and you're like, oh yeah, that's who I've that's you.
Totally.
You
So
know?
he is how he comes off and more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Authentic, man, to the nine. Yeah.
Killer. So was the Troubadour was New York the last gig or Troubadour?
Troubadour and then New York.
What part of New York was it?
It was in a venue called the Cutting Room. It's like a name. I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard of that, but I don't know if I have. It just sounds like familiar, I guess. Never played there before.
So was it in like the big city or is it like Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
like sort of like in between, like I would say just east and a bit south of Times Square.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've only been to New York once, but I really enjoyed it. I went to the Big Apple and then Manhattan for a little bit, and I really enjoyed it. But did you grow up in California or?
I grew up in Indiana.
Indiana. Okay. So from all your travels, I mean, you said you really enjoy New York, and I'm sure you've seen it, change over time. And I've heard like in today, like it's really even more extreme and expensive and crowded. So like compared to LA, how do you feel it compares? You said you really love it there. Like, would you want to move there, or is it just somewhere you like to visit? Or
I get different. People throw the word like empath around, and I don't know. I think that can mean different things for different people. For me, as a creator, yourself also as a creator, you feel things heavily. Maybe not heavily. Heavily connotates something that maybe is like a certain emotional flavor. I mean more like I feel things a lot. And the vibe of a place has a great effect on me. So LA and New York give me something different. When I'm in, even though they're both fast-paced, very culturally diverse, very inspirational places. A lot of amazing things happen in both places: film, music, art, poetry. These are cultural centers, meccas for our country and in the world, really, if we're honest. But they give me something different, and they're both, LA included, now very expensive. New York is not. There's no secret about that. But right. What New York gives me is I feel more like being part of the flow of life with humans. It's very apparent that you're amongst many people in New York.
Right. So
with that, it's like I never really feel alone, which is nice. I like to be around people. I love the art that you can see there. I love Central Park. It's kind of like immediacy. It's like crazy city and then park. It's like totally. Whatever you want real fast.
Yeah.
LA, I would say, gives me what I need creatively with relationships, and it's in California. That's obvious, but the nature here really is everything to me.
Totally. Yeah, and LA has gone through such a crazy transformation, like even since, I've been here since I was a little kid. I was born and raised here, and I've seen a lot of change, and some for the better and a lot for kind of the worst, actually. Just with the homelessness and the pollution, and it's been crazy to see like how it's transformed over the last 20 years. But yeah, I agree with you. I think if you go on the outskirts of LA, there's so many gorgeous towns and mountains, and we're right by the beach, and there's a lot of really beautiful places here. So I totally agree with that. And I do feel like even though I was only in New York once, but what you said about how you're immediately like forced into the flow of people. So, and I think there is that here, but it's more like
the flow of people like in traffic, because it's like you're always surrounded by a lot of people when you're driving, but once you get to the destination, it's not like nothing like New York, because in New York it's like a fucking swarm of, you know, like ants and bees or whatever. It's just like there's everyone everywhere all the time, but here it's like there's everyone on the 405 and the 101 and the 5, and then when you get to wherever, it's like, yeah, it can get kind of crowded, but nothing like New York.
I feel like things in New York, I guess when I said the word immediacy, that really sums it up. I feel like things just happen very fast. And I feel like the openness of possibilities is so vast. I find the people that I meet there, I always have a phenomenal time. I always meet great people, always. I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those things, you know. I don't get why. I mean, I understand there's buttheads everywhere, right? And, yeah, I'm one of them. But yeah, sure. But I really think that I don't know. Like everything, yeah. If I'm looking for an opportunity or to meet a certain type of person, or like it just happens so quick, and then one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, it kind of like you can feel the energy kind of taking you from one thing to the next towards what you want.
Yeah,
I feel that like so fast in New York. Here, it's the same result, but I feel like it happens in a different way. It's a different kind of feeling, not so much like it's not so fast.
yeah,
But it's big.
yeah,
It's different. It's like maybe it's not 10 things that happen in rapid succession to get you to the thing. Maybe it's like 3 things that takes a little bit longer, but they're all like knockouts.
yeah. I totally relate to that. Yeah, it's just, I mean, I've traveled a little bit, but it seems like with, you know, the bands you've been working with, you've done a lot of traveling. So what is your preferred like pace? Like what part of the world? Like I know you're here and you just moved back to LA and you're in OC, you said. So like, do you prefer this kind of a pace, or is there somewhere else in the world like you could see yourself like thriving, like, if you didn't have to be like, you know, networking and doing the music thing? Like what is there another part of the world that you really, really love?
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, first off, before I get into this, I feel like I haven't said thank you for having me yet.
My pleasure.
I can feel in your role in this conversation, I can feel that you're kind of like you're like a steward to things. Like you help things along, you like to be a part of that, and you have a very welcoming energy. So I wanted to take that moment to recognize that.
Thank you for saying that and acknowledging that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. It's an honor. I'm a dreamer, you know? So if I feel that thing, whatever it is, I'll think about that thing, right? So when I'm in Berlin, and I had a skewed experience. I think the first time I was in Berlin, I was staying at Soho House in Berlin. I was playing with a different artist. That's kind of probably not what it's. I mean, it's a pretty fancy kind of place, but that was kind of, you know, where, and in the areas surrounding that, I became familiar with like, this looks like Germany. Like if you've been to Germany, have you been to Germany?
No. Mm-hmm.
Okay. For me, it has its own thing. It really does. And that texture, the way the buildings are, the way the windows are, you can just really, it's a very specific thing to me anyways. And I loved it. I could definitely be in Berlin. I loved Warsaw. Warsaw was, talk about a snake in the grass. I mean, that was like I had no expectations. I knew we were going to Poland, and I, obviously there's a lot of history, war history,
right?
You know, and so naturally I'm like, oh, I know this place has had a rough go, and then I got there, and found this crazy, amazing coffee joint. I'm a coffee buff, love coffee, and it was so good. They were grinding up dried cherries with the coffee beans, and then it was the first time I ever had like a flash brew.
What's that?
They make the coffee with hot water, but directly onto a pile of ice. And man, I was just like, "What's up?" And then my tech at the time and we walked through. There's an amazing castle in the middle of this city, and I had like, pardon me for vegans, but I had this amazing like wild boar steak, which is like, what's wild boar anything?
How was that?
My God, I love food.
Compared to like beef, what is it? Was it gamey or?
It was quite similar to beef, I would say. It wasn't gamey. Maybe I'm just saying that because the sauce was kind of similar to what you'd have on like a roast kind of meat. It had dumplings and it had just stuff I hadn't had before. But I was immediately like, yes, more.
Right. This is me.
And cheap.
Okay.
Yeah. But in the States, I think I'm pretty happy in LA. California, I can hit Diego. I can go to Morro Bay, Big Sur, and go to SF, Eureka. I mean, there's all Palm Springs. I mean, if I need to go to get whatever, I can go.
What's in Eureka?
Redwoods.
Yeah. I've heard of it. I've never been, but yeah, it's like, there's so many cities in California just like I've never even gone through. Like I've been here my whole life, but it's just like it's such a huge state.
You've never been to Eureka? Man, I think
I might have driven through, but no, I have never stayed.
There's like Bigfoot legends. I'm not a Bigfoot person.
Eureka's
I know people
Castle.
who are.
Is that where it's based off? The Eureka's Castle?
I don't know. I just know that I know that there's lore.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fun.
Okay, so Berlin or Warsaw, you resonated with those two. Any other places you really?
Paris.
Okay.
Paris. Also, like I said, I love vibes, man. I mean, you picked a good guy to be on a podcast. I could talk my face off. I love Pacific Northwest. I went to Alaska for my first time last summer. That was amazing. I saw a bear, like right over there, walking down the street. I saw it.
Did you tense up, or you're like, okay?
No, I was, trying to not be close at all.
Yeah.
It was a black bear.
Oh, okay.
They're big
and fucking fast.
They can be. Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? Is there? Okay, so you said you've been here, born and raised. Sounds like you could do some traveling. Where would you want to travel?
Totally. I mean, I've been to Hawaii. I've been to Mexico. I've been to Austin, Utah, Vegas. Pretty much close by. Nowhere like I haven't been to Europe, so I have a lot of traveling to do when the time is right. I'm waiting for the right time. I guess you can't really say there. I guess there isn't really the right time, but I know there's gonna be some killer opportunity in the future where I'm gonna be like, that's what I've been waiting for. So whether it's something music related or not, I know there's gonna be the right opportunity to head over to Europe and check it out. So
any place in particular?
Fuck everywhere, dude. I want to go to like my buddy. He's in Iceland right now. I've always wanted to go there and check out the Blue Lagoon and like all the black sand beaches, and he was sending me photos the past few days, and it looks gorgeous, man. I would love to go to Iceland. Have you been to Iceland? No. Oh my god, dude, it looks so beautiful. I'd like to go to Switzerland. All the spots with like Prague. I love the architecture in Prague. Like, you've been to Prague?
And Switzerland.
Okay. And which one did you favor?
Different.
Okay.
Prague is its own thing too. Yeah, you nailed it. Architecture. I mean, it's gorgeous, man. It's gorgeous. Switzerland is, so the cartoon scene like in Bambi, whereas the butterflies and the everything, and it looks like heaven and paradise. That's Switzerland.
Damn. And that's where is that where they film Lord of the Rings? Or am I thinking of somewhere else?
I think that's New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah. I always switch those up.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like everywhere basically. Like I just want to head over there, and then you could just want to take trains around and just see as much as I can.
Ryanair, not a plug, but Ryanair is the Spirit of Europe, the Spirit Airlines, so you can get around pretty cheap.
Yeah, I'd love to go to Japan too.
Oh yeah.
And I'm assuming you've been? No? Okay.
Haven't been to Japan. I want to go very badly. If anybody wants to take me, play drums. I hear nothing but amazing things about Tokyo.
Yeah, I'm so excited to go eventually just for the food. Like, I love Japanese food, and just can't wait to get over there and, just stuff myself basically. Just, yeah.
Are you gonna eat? What, don't they have an urchin or something that you can eat? Like, they have to be so skilled to serve this that
the poisonous one, right? Yeah, the one that will kill you if it's prepared wrong.
So you know about this?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I don't want to take up too much time, but they can kill you, right? Like the chef, if they don't prepare it right, can totally murder you by eating their food.
I believe so. Yeah, if it's not prepared the correct way, which I don't know what that is, but accordingly, there's a proper way to prepare it, and if it goes wrong or something happens, it's poisonous, so you're fucked. So I don't know if it's worth the risk. It can't be that good.
It's probably not cheap either.
No, probably not. But
it's so funny.
Yeah, dude. I love the different types of Japanese and noodles, and just like the different types of sushi. Like pretty much all of it, I love. I haven't really had anything Japanese that I'm not crazy about. Let me see. There was like a certain sea urchin I had one time. I think it might have just been off or bad or something, but that was really disgusting. But then I've had ones that were really good, but that's a very strange texture. I'm a texture person. Like if the texture is off, then even if it tastes good, it like grosses me out. But that has a very slimy texture. What about you? What kind of Japanese food do you like?
Oh, what came to my mind when we were talking about you're a texture person, I was like, I bet you really, that goes right into your production texture.
Very, very good. Yes.
So, I don't know, man. I'm a missionary position kind of guy when it comes to Japanese food. It's like it's sushi, sushi, and white people sushi,
California roll?
Philadelphia roll.
Those are good too.
They're good.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's like if I'm gonna get off the ship and be like, oh, Philadelphia roll in Tokyo. It's probably gonna be something better.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that anyways.
And I love how there's certain YouTube channels I watch, or these couples that have channels and they travel around the world and they go to all these different places.
I've seen something like that. Yeah.
Like there's a bunch of them, but there's a couple that I've been watching, and they'll go to Japan and they'll be like only eating out of vending machines for 24 hours or 48 hours. And like these vending machines in Japan, they have everything. Like it's insane. They have all kinds of different drinks, like alcohol, ramen, coffee. Like it's awesome. And there's like hundreds of thousands of them like all throughout. I'm like, damn it. There's just so many different things to experience. Like
let's go to the vending machines, bro.
I want to go. Dude, I just want to fly there and then hire someone to help and translate, because like, dude, I would be so freaking lost in Japan.
Also, going to Japan and expecting people to speak English to you, I've heard, I could be wrong, but I've heard that it doesn't really go down.
Yeah. Navigating around the subways and shit, and like the trains, and like, I don't know how much of it, if there's any of it in English, and I'd be just so freaking lost. Just trying to get around, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'd want to go and then, make friends with someone who could speak Japanese, take them, go, and just go crazy. Like
sure.
If I was, like if I was drinking, but with food, basically, just go nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you said how long have you been sober?
Okay, so 13 years. 13 years, yeah. Yeah, that's how LA started for me.
So you came into the city and just went hard?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
But I was prepping though. I was really, building up plenty of frequent flyer mile on the party wagon for a long time until I got here. So I got here and it was just like, okay, it was the volcano erupted.
So did you come from Indiana to LA?
Boston.
Okay. So you came Boston to LA and then you moved to OC and then back?
Then I moved. So Boston to LA, I was here until about 2016. And then I moved to San Diego for 2 years. However, that was pretty much since, I would say, mid 2016, I've been primarily gone. Many months a year. So even though I lived somewhere else, I didn't really spend much time there at all.
Gotcha.
Moved to San Diego and then left San Diego in January of 2018, and my friend just let me stay on his couch, and when I was home for like a couple weeks, I think, and then the other roommate moved out, and I just kind of landed there in Costa Mesa, which I love. It's not what you would think, OC to be. At least that's not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I haven't. I've been through there, but I've never like stayed around there, so I'm not really familiar with the vibe. But I did live in Anaheim for a bit. I guess that's OC. I don't know.
Yeah, it is, but it's a different experience.
Yeah,
it's like saying you live in like Koreatown. No sleeping on Koreatown, but it's like living in Koreatown and saying that you've experienced Los Angeles.
Gotcha. Yeah,
it's like a thing. It's a flavor. Sorry about
You're
that.
good. What was the flavor for you? Like what was it specifically about it that you really liked?
Peace. I lived in a neighborhood that was 1.75 miles from the beach, just south of Huntington Beach, in between Huntington and Newport. It's a really boring neighborhood with lots of trees and greens, and there was a beautiful park at the end of the neighborhood, so you didn't have to go anywhere, and you could be hiking in nature in a half-mile walk from my doorstep.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and right across actually from a club called the Wayfarer. You heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. So I think it was like less than 200 actual footsteps from my door to Wayfarer. Just very convenient, extremely peaceful place. No matter where I was or how long I'd been gone, I could come home and immediately I was home. But it is 60 miles door to door from my recording studio.
Okay, so you were there and here.
And coming here 5 days a week.
Ooh, damn. Yeah, that's a lot.
So now I'm in West Hollywood.
Okay, so.
Very recent. So I moved back to LA April 1st of this year. So 2 weeks ago. To be closer. And I'm back.
Hell yeah. So are you gearing up for some more gigs, or what do you have planned with like Dorothy? And are you performing with another artist like simultaneously, or is it just Dorothy at the moment?
No. Well, I mean, as a musician, we do, this. I mean, we have to have many different cookie jars we're eating from. So I play with all different kinds of musical situations. I teach a little bit also, but my primary artist that I work for would be Dorothy. Yeah, it's probably been that way since, I don't know, probably. Well, I would say I had a lot of things that were about to pop with multiple different artists, in March of 2020. And so we all know what happened, and then those opportunities kind of went away and have not come back. And so I would say since March of 2020, Dorothy's been my primary focus for those kind of jobs. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
When did you like officially start performing with Dorothy?
I think the first gig I played with her was in New Orleans. It was at Voodoo Fest. I was subbing for her drummer, great guy. Who, yeah, I think he had to miss for a wedding or something like that. And one of my closest friends in the world, Elliot Larengo, is Dorothy's bass player, and we played together in a bunch of different things for a long time. And he had me come and sit in, and I subbed a few times, and then for whatever reason, I don't quite know how it worked out to where I just kind of ended up being the guy. One of those things, and have been really since probably, I'd say 2020 is probably when it was, I kind of was like the guy.
Why do you think that is? Like, did he just not want to come back, or did they, it just worked out with you, like your availability, or what do you think?
I couldn't say. I really couldn't. I don't. I'm certainly friends with him, but we haven't really talked about it. I think he moved. He's married. He's got he's, people that are married, like they have a world,
right?
And that's the, and I don't know if if maybe. I think they maybe did a business together or something. I don't know. You see, that's why I don't want to speak on behalf, because I don't know really.
Gotcha.
That's what happened. So, and here we are, 2023 now?
Yeah.
Good.
I love stories like that, because a lot of, the reasons why musicians score these killer gigs is a lot of the time it's like, well, someone had a wedding, or someone, like had a kid, or for whatever reason, like this opportunity presented itself like randomly, like quickly out of nowhere, and it changes your life forever. Like, I love those kinds of stories, because it's like, you never know what the fuck's going to happen. That's what's so great about being in the music industry, is like, if you stick it out long enough, and continue to have that grit and drive, like, you never know what could happen. So,
and I think if you continue to evolve as a person to be someone that contributes something positive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, totally.
That's the most important thing. A lot of really talented people come here and leave.
Yep. Most of the people I've met, like when I went to music school, and a lot of the people that I've come across since I started doing this, like most of them aren't in music anymore. It's not.
That's sad.
It is, but I understand, because like, some of them want to start a family, or they need steady income right now, and it's like, I get it. But it's a long game. So
it is.
Yeah.
And it's a lifestyle choice altogether. Being a musician is not like a weekend trip. Right?
Yeah.
It's not. It's like it comes with its other side. Because you have to manage it, you know what I mean? It's like a whole, how it is. I mean, you have to be flexible, and some that can be challenging.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if I had known, like when I first realized I wanted to be a musician, like what it would take, or like be in the music industry in some way and make a living off of it. If I knew then like what it would take and what I've had to go through, I would have definitely like had my second thoughts. But I kind of live now, like, no regrets, man. It's, you made the decision, you stuck it out, and you're still here. So yeah, I really think what you said about, being a good person, and, bringing value, and bringing positivity to whatever project or situation or relationship you're giving your time to, is so important. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. So, if you want to be valued, you need to be valuable. it's like that's, someone's probably gonna hear that and be like, oh, there's more. The Cheez-Its are just open the box and yeah, it's really about, I mean, touring especially, man, see, in the bite size experience of recording for somebody or a gig or writing, you get a person, and whatever they're at in their life, whatever they're experiencing, you only get them for that much time. So if they're a Punisher and you're working with them, okay, all I have to do is stick this out, because the reason that we make this decision is because it is such an interesting experience to create art with sound, music. It's such an interesting experience. We forget that. It's like that is the journey. That's the destination. The journey of making music. That's what we're doing. When you attach all the other things, which are important, but money and having to survive and all that, it makes it complicated because it does. That's the managing of it. But if you're with a person who, like I said, is kind of like that you can leave in an hour, in a day, whatever. If you're touring with somebody, people don't understand. It's like going to work and living with your boss and your coworkers in a small space, in a small bed that's on top of another bed that's only separated by a curtain, and then how are you gonna keep that environment happy and good?
Healthy,
because we're show 3, great, we have 6 more weeks of this left, and then
Brutal.
And then when that sets in, 6 more weeks of not sleeping in your bed, not seeing your pet, not seeing your romantic partner, I just want to go to Whole Foods and get a salad. Nope. You're in Omaha, great place, but you only have your feet, and unless you want to have a crazy Uber bill at the end of your tour, you got to roll with what's around. Okay, well, we're going to Subway today. We're gonna get an $8, whatever, $9. This is not a plug, also, but you gotta, it's okay. Well, do I want to go to work and be forced to eat Subway? No. Well, there you go. It's Wednesday.
Yeah, totally.
So
much you packed into that, but yeah, man, like what you said about, I kind of look at it too, because I think there really isn't like a destination. It's about the journey. And like, I think depending on how you look at your career and how you look at what you're doing in the music industry, like say you make that record and it goes platinum or whatever. It's like some milestone you've always wanted to happen, and then it happens. But then you find yourself going, okay, but now what? And there's always the next thing. There's always the next thing. There's always,
I thank God for that.
Yeah. Right. But, what you said about like how sometimes when you come into, a project with someone and say they're a Punisher, there's another thing I often think about is like, since we're, when these project to project things, completely different from when you're touring with a band, like you're experiencing someone at this point in their life for not very long amount of time. So depending on how their mental health is and their physical health is at that time, that may not be the best version of that person, which I've definitely been that person to to people I've worked with, because there's been times when I haven't been my best self and they've experienced me. The only time they've experienced me when I wasn't the best version of myself, and that's how they always think of me. That's just unfortunately part of it, unless they work with you again or they have they come into your life in the future in a different way.
I have some things that kind of popped into my mind when you were speaking. Sure. It's difficult to I relate to all of what you're saying. I think we all do. When we're not our best self, we feel failure. It's like, well, if I just would have, maybe, or, if someone would have felt this, then maybe. But you know, we're all on the way. We're all on the way. And, you know, having to control what someone else thinks of me by behaving a certain way is exhausting. So I think, and then, you know, regretting and, okay, well, you know, I'm analyzing my behavior because I want to control what people think about me. Well, you know, it all comes down to that. No one is perfect, especially the perfect ones. And someone that everybody likes, and I have people like this in my life. Everybody likes this person. I know them. They're not happy. This is a recurring theme. I'm not saying all people that are well liked have this duality of being not stoked on life. I'm saying that even when you think, it's not what you think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you have all these permutations of where people at, and I really think if for me, I'm saying this really for me, inspired by your words, like if I can control only if my actions are aligning with my intentions, and if my intentions are, this is a job. End of the day, it's a job. You're doing something with somebody else. You're collaborating on something else. Like the job at hand, it's creative, and we're doing this thing and we're working with another person. But it is what we're doing with our time. So it doesn't have to be a super heavy kind of thing. It's like there's a professionalism hat that you could put on, and it's totally not an inauthentic thing to do if you don't feel that way that day.
Yeah.
Like I tell you, you know, I wake up and I go to bed and there's chatter and it's not good most of the time. It's not good. And there's like a documentary out, I think, I forget what it's called. Anyways, I don't know how much time we have. I don't want to ramble.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
But they talk about this voice. And it's like, okay, well, if I authentically act how I feel and I have no control over this voice, then I'm going to be a wreck all the time and useful to no one, and not just valuable to no one. Except for my mom. My mom would love me if I was a frog, you know, because I'm her frog. Great. So that's one person. But everyone else is like, if I'm going to bring something to the table, and I've had plenty of friends let me go because of where I'm at.
How so?
Just that.
Let you go as in
we're, you know, this relationship isn't going to be, it's not like I haven't really done a lot of wrong to people. I just haven't. You know, it's not really it's not something that I have too much chatter that happens because of a moral compass that it's too I mean, okay, so I just moved this neighborhood. This guy was going to pull up in the parking space in front of my apartment, and I was about to load my drums in, right? And he comes up, and I had just met my neighbor who just told me, am I peeking?
No, you're good.
Okay. Who just told me that this parking space is like the only place you could park without a permit and around in West Hollywood. And this guy like rolls up, and he looks up, and he goes, "Hey, can I park here?" And I went, No, man, you can't. It's permit only. And he goes, "Okay," and he pulls off. And I just immediately felt like I'd been punched in the gut because I lied. Seriously. It's like, I feel terrible if I lie. So like, anyways, I feel like I got away from this. I guess, look, if you always act through your feelings, it's highly unpredictable.
Yeah, not a good idea.
So the professionalism of like, we're going to work together and I'm here to serve really removes a lot of that. And then if someone doesn't like that after the fact or during, they find you difficult, not you, a person. They find you difficult, maybe you're not doing the thing that they are looking for from you. You can't control any of that.
Right.
The reason that I'll finish.
Okay.
The reason that I have had run-ins with people is because not everybody needs to know. Not everybody needs to know. And your personal information, your personal life really is for you, your inner world. It's really between you and put your own word on it. God. In whatever capacity that is.
Yeah.
You and the spirit, your spirit. You and you, how you sit with you. That's your business. And when you are open with that, with people that might not really want to know, then maybe they don't want to know, and you tell them.
Yeah.
Does that make you bad? No. Does that mean there's lessons? Sure. Not everybody is meant to know really everything that's happening in you. That's like for you. And
Totally.
if you're in a place where you're experiencing turmoil to where you have to get that out, it's best to have, I think, mental health professionals.
Sure.
People that are there for you to help you with that.
Totally. Yeah.
That's been my biggest thing.
I think it's very common, but I
Like,
know a lot of
sorry to interrupt.
No,
To
go
be
ahead.
clear, like anybody could hear this, and I don't care, because this is like authentically the human condition, and it's like we're all just on our way. That's it.
Sure.
Yeah,
and I know it's a common thing with a lot of creatives and musicians and people that are self-employed, but do you ever struggle with imposter syndrome?
I've heard that before. So I'm confused. Are you more like educated on what this actually is?
Well, it's basically when you feel like you're living a lie in your profession. Like it's like a mental thing where you feel like people are going to find you out as like a fake, like you're faking it. You know what I mean? Like you feel like okay. It's really fucking weird. Like the way I feel imposter syndrome is,
Thank you.
It's like you feel like you're, no matter like the farther you get in your career, the more you feel like you aren't good enough. Like you're going backwards and you're going forwards, but backwards at the same time. Like you think, wow, am I even advancing? Because the farther you advance, the more you realize you're so much farther away from the end goal, whatever that is.
Do you know what that is?
Well, I have milestones that I want to reach, and I've reached some of them. But what I've learned over time is none of that matters, because for me, all I've ever wanted to do was make music, and I've made music.
There you go.
It's done.
That's it.
Regardless if any of these records we do sells a fuckload, or if you and the artists hear them, and maybe a few other people, it's irrelevant. It's just about, you did what you set out to do. You dreamed about this since, long ago. You saved up for all your instruments. You met people. You performed. You got everything you wanted. Yeah, maybe it's not to a certain dollar amount. I'm living my life based off of what I feel success is, and I feel like everyone else should too.
I hope that you always do.
Thank you. Yeah.
Live that way.
Yeah.
And I like what you said on all that. All that you said. In relation to what I think imposter syndrome could be, I don't really suffer from that. The whole not good enough thing is definitely baked into me, and that drove me and can be a driving force. I just really think that, like, as we mature, and I'm not mature, not. I mean, like, I feel like sometimes, for me, I feel like I'm like, oh, this thing, and I'm like, well, did somebody do this when they were like 15 and they just went ahead and just put that one up on the shelf and passed that level? Because what am I doing experiencing this? But like, for me, that whole like not good enough thing, I feel it when my self-sufficiency is being threatened. you know, because things are up and down. You know, last year I was gone 9.5 months. 9.5 months. That's on a plane, a bus, a boat, whatever. So, you know, and the financial success that I felt from that went right into my gear. And so, and that has effect down the line because, you know, the things that happen in your life are not linear.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's like, oh, okay, well, this is going to be, you know, a slow month, but like, you know, I have enough for this to happen. Then we get torrential rains. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's crazy potholes.
Oh God. It's
Just
terrible.
getting off of Sherman Way and the 405 coming.
So many terrible ones.
Yeah. I mean, there was one that was bigger than the manhole that was on in the other lane. It's 2 lanes, and I had no choice but to hit this, and it blew out my front tire, put bubbles in the back too, and broke my struts.
Oh, fuck.
So like, you know, had I not spent $40,000, you know, on just gear, you know, and for in a certain period of time, then maybe I would have. I know this because it's just in my taxes. Maybe I would have, you know, had the dough right on task to where like, hey, you know, it's no big deal. But like I didn't.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, my self-sufficiency right now is being threatened. So like, who am I? What am I doing? Why am I here? Where's my wife? Where's my house? Oh, look at that person. I mean, it's just like the spiral, and then the feeling everything, because I'm creative, just makes that real, and it's like a blanket with needles, and and you're so wrapped up in it, you can't get out. You know,
it's a great way to describe it, man. Because I definitely relate to that. I think a lot of people relate to that because, like you said, you feel like once you get to a certain age, you're like, I should be able to afford anything. Like,
I should be
on a whim, like no big deal. But
I should be,
and should should have a house, should blah blah. All these societal norms that
Or I should have made a better choice, or I should have, man. Like, you can do that all you want, but like, where is that going really? Like, where does that actually lead you? Nowhere good. It leads to basically like you're a real piece, and you're a complete failure, and you have to become different now. And it's like, what?
Totally,
could you imagine it? If you're like, I have a choice of people I want to let in my life, and I'm going to let someone in that talks to me like that, and I'm going to say, you can never leave my side. It's like that's yourself talking to yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so we need to work on our self, love, and get into that whole trip. And
yeah, I love the way you just described that. But yeah, I wanted to ask you before we wrap it up. The question.
The time has flown.
If you could share with us one of the darkest times in your life and how you overcame it and how it made you the better person you are today.
The better person I am. That's an interesting thought. So I've had a few, and I thought about that. I was going to say the hardest time in my life was getting sober, but I don't think that was the hardest time in my life. Because when I actually found out, I had my moment where I knew that I had to get sober, I also knew that I could. I knew that it was possible. I think the hardest part of my life was during the middle of the pandemic. I think the hardest part of my life was being, and I'm going to be vulnerable here, was being just so utterly alone and unseen and unheard as a young child. And having no compass as to how to get out of that. And I think that was so painful that I saw my cousin's boyfriend, who had long hair and was smoking cigarettes and a leather jacket and was listening to And Justice for All. And I was like, that motherfucker, that's who I am. So it was so painful, but yet somehow I heard that music and it completely gave me my compass. Yeah. And everything that's happened, good or bad, since that moment, I think I'm just so grateful for it because it got me out of that and I lived through it, you know? And, yeah, I didn't plan for that. It just kind of came up. That's the real thing, though.
Thank you for sharing that, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing, and I think a lot of people will resonate with that and take something great away from that. So thank you.
Well, let's be honest. Yeah. I mean, if you're not a Metallica fan, I'm sorry, but I fucking love Justice for All. I don't care. We could get into that debate all day long, but man, that's my one. That's the one. That's my one.
Fuck yeah. Well, Jake, thanks for coming by and having a chat and sharing all that with me. I really enjoyed our conversation and a lot of great takeaways for me, and I'm sure everyone listening will really enjoy it. So I appreciate you coming by and look forward to seeing more of your shows and releases with Dorothy throughout the rest of the year. So
sure. And thank you for having me. And before I go, I'm terrible at this, and hence why I haven't made a single video promoting my studio in 3 years. But I've thrown every bit of myself into building a drum studio called the Hayden Studio, and I would ask if people need drums on their records or their whatever, just to go to www.thehaydenstudio.com and see what I'm doing. And if it resonates, I absolutely will give everything I have to make some great tracks for you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for sharing that. We'll put your website in the description so everyone can check it out.
Appreciate that.
All right, Jake. Thank you so much.